COP30, this is from the food professor. COP30 begins in Brazil today, and get ready for it, because this is the time to virtue signal.
They hit, by the way, have you ever heard in the House of Commons, the Conservatives from time to time reference him, the food professor, Sylvain Charlebois. Every time they do it, you should go and listen. Anyone here, anybody listening to this that hasn't seen this happen, go and listen to House of Commons when his name is mentioned and see what the Liberal MPs do. They all jeer, like very loudly. They all go, because they hate him. They think that he's some kind of dishonest political actor or something like that. The dude he's a professor. He's an academic who monitors food prices. But yeah, that's just something that's very, very interesting about the Liberals, obviously, because the Liberal Party, they're supposed to represent the expert class, aren't they? And they're very deferent to experts, unless it's an expert that disagrees with their policies, like Trevor Tombe or Sylvain Charlebois, in which case, boo.
He just got interviewed on CBC for dairy management too, supply management, and he credited them, say they did a good job, because he says it adds to the cost of dairy for people. But you know, that interview probably just got put way, way, way down there, right?
He also was complaining quite noisily about the counter tariffs, because he was saying that it was adding to the prices of food, and again he was kind of ignored for that, wasn't he?
Common sense. Anyway, here's Mark Carney getting ready for COP30. Climate competitiveness strategy, attracting massive investment into Canada's clean future. I guarantee it, all those companies in the United States that were living off climate credits, they're coming to Canada for a 60% tax credit. You can bet on it. Like, they're going to come, but they're going to be dipping into your pocket. And then they're going to have the ability to tax our energy. Isn't that a gift? I mean, why wouldn't they come? That's what we're going to get. Climate grifting at the best. And Mark Nixon said this has got to be one of the, I don't know, he just wrote that Brookfield. And I said, just go search it yourself. Just go search Brookfield carbon capture. Just search that and look at the billions and billions of dollars that are invested in carbon capture. It's almost like payday showing up. The sun's coming up. And Dan Elvis had some reaction to this, you know, sending off the money. They still haven't answered to this Beijing ferry thing. And then all of it, there's a really good clip out there. John Stossel interviewed one of the ladies that started this climate, what do you want to call it? Climate. She said she was one of the early authors of the first papers on climate hysteria. And, you know, she did it with the hurricanes. But then she also realized a couple of things that didn't make a lot of sense. But we're going to play a small clip from this. I advise you to go watch the full clip, though.
Frogs, you know, everything.
Airplane turbulence blamed on changing air currents.
Scientists expect turbulence like this to become more frequent due to climate change.
Childhood obesity through inactivity caused by heat.
A new study showing how climate change is making our children more obese.
Oh, you've seen some good ones. You've seen some good ones. The issue is, this is a way to get, you can always get a paper published that says that. You can get money to do that. You're going to get a good press release. I mean, this is, you know, it's playing into that whole professional game. If this was just a silly academic game, it wouldn't be so bad. But the real issue is that blaming everything on climate change detracts from the real underlying problems, which get ignored. People just throw up their hands. Well, it's climate change.
What's the real underlying problem?
Well, poverty, lifestyle, poor governance, poor land use, poor city planning, on and on it goes. There are all sorts of underlying problems behind all these things that get ignored. Oh, it's climate change. So we need to solve our real problems rather than trying to solve fake problems.
People are dying. The potential extinction of the human race. The planet's on fire.
The planet's on fire.
That's Bill Nye.
Okay. In terms of lives lost, I mean, over the past 100 years, the number of lives lost from extreme weather or droughts or whatever has dropped by 97%. It's a paltry sum.
97% more people are living with slightly warmer temperatures.
Yeah.
You got to go watch the full interview.
Yeah, but this is not controversial fringe stuff. Like I've said ad nauseum. Look at the IPCC's reports. Like that is the gold standard, and they talk about the worst case scenario, the very, very worst case nightmare scenario, is that in the year 2100, life is hard for quite a large number of people, but not the majority of the planet. But life is hard for people in the parts of the world that are already now today vulnerable to climate change. Places like the Sahel. The Sahel is that bit that's basically where the Sahara Desert meets the forests of Africa, or the savannah. You know that. You look on a map, you'll see what I mean. Or just type Sahel into Google. Like that's one of the most vulnerable places. But that's vulnerable now because they've had drought for so long, and the Sahara and that area, that neck of the woods, has changed climatically many times in recent eons. But that's the rub of it. It's not going to be. The world is not on fire. It's not going to be like the end of the species. The planet's not going to die, as certain people keep claiming, like Elizabeth May when she comes out relentlessly with misinformation and falsehoods. Almost seems to me designed to make people afraid, to make people anxious. If I lived in the Sahel, if I lived in Chad, I would be very anxious about climate change. Yeah. But as it happens, I live in Canada, and I'm not particularly freaking out about it. It does look like it's going to be pretty bad, but it's absolutely not going to be the end of the world.
I advise you to watch that full thing. It's well worth your time. She quotes the IPCC many times and also says most of the funding for academics over the past few years, well, since 1990, I think she goes back to, has been, if you have a study on climate hysteria, you get funded. If you're on the other side of it, you don't get funding. So obviously. She also had another graph in there on wildfires in Canada, and it shows you that they're on the decline as well. And a lot of the fires that they stood at the podium and tried to blame it on, like Jasper Fire, that Gibeau tried to blame it on climate change. Turns out, if you read the reports, that it was on failure of government to mitigate there. And then again, the Nova Scotia fires, they tried to blame that on climate change. And then the wildfire fighters came out and said, nope. Mitigation efforts, again, you were warned about that this is a powder keg waiting to happen. Massive lawsuits happening right now in the United States over the Las Vegas fires there. The city of Las Angeles getting sued, as well as the government of California for the multitude of failures that got on there. Supposedly that they left that fire burn against the advice of the fire crews there and said, we can't leave this fire, and they left it, and that's what it turned into. President Trump calling out the shameless hypocrisy of the climate COP30 because apparently they cut down 100,000 trees to make a highway to this new UN summit, and of course all the jets that are on the tarmac there too. Like, why not, right? Nothing says elitism like a private jet to a foreign country.
The most amazing thing is Prince William, who went in, in a very sort of passionate way about climate change. His PR team posted photographs to promote his appearance there in Brazil. They post photographs of him in his royal jet, like looking like he was studying something with the little plane window. It's just like, just piss off, I think I can use the P word on that one. That's just so. It's like, who's paying attention to you? Who the hell is going to listen to you when you're such an obvious hypocrite and you don't even care? You're even bragging about it,
We don't just report the news. We live here too. We're your neighbors, bringing you stories that matter to all of us. No government funding, no outside influence. Kelowna Now, local, independent. News you can trust.